Okay, start by writing your name on the back of your paper. Using pencil, we are going to start by drawing a horizon line. Now, the horizon line we're making for this picture is going to be snow below and the sky above. So I'm going to make a soft line. And actually, I'm going to make it look like there's a hill in the distance. So I'm going to make one line and a second line. You can decide if you want one line or two lines. Now we're going to use painter's tape to mask the paper where we are going to have our trees. So this is going to keep the paint from going on to that space. That's what's called masking. So I'm putting one tree. I'm going to put a second tree. And then I'm going to put a third tree. Now, I'm going to make one of my trees a thicker piece of tape because I want to show that it is closer to us, and closer things are bigger, or bigger things are closer to us. For our background, we are going to do a technique called wet and wet. So I'm putting water on my paper first before I start to paint. Now I'm going to add some colors of paint. I want to make this look like a sunrise or a sunset. So I'm adding some orange here at the edge and then yellow around it. And then I'm going to add some pretty blues. After you finish your painting, you can add salt to the watercolor. When your paint is nice and wet like this, the salt adds this interesting effect that kind of looks like crystals. And I think that would look really cool with a cold scene. So I'm going to add salt. After the salt, we're going to leave that to dry. Now, the type of tree we are going to be painting is called a birch tree. They are here in an example on the left side. They have white bark with black marks on it too. So we're going to be practicing making some birch trees on a practice piece of paper first till we get the hang of it before we start on our final paper. We're dipping a piece of cardboard into black tempera paint, and we want just a little bit of paint. You don't need a ton. You push down initially and then drag. Now this first time I realized I pushed down too hard while I was dragging, so I'm going to switch it up and drag a little lighter. That's okay, that's why we practice. So keep practicing until you get a mark that you like for your birch tree, and then we will be ready to recycle this piece of paper and start on your final. Okay, now we are ready to remove the tape from our paintings. Please watch as I do this. We're doing this so slowly so that we don't tear our paper. Make sure to go nice and nicely slow. And then we're going to see that we have this nice white space there for our trees. Okay, so these two trees that I'm working on are closer to us. So I'm having them go all the way to the bottom of the paper. But the final tree on the right, I'm going to make it seem more like it's a little bit further back. So I'm not going to make it go all the way to the bottom. I'm going to stop the tree markings before it gets to the bottom of the page. Okay, and once we finish this, we're going to put this on the drying rack to dry, and then the next day we'll do the final step. After our trees have dried, the final step is going to be painting a wash, which means a little bit of paint and a lot of water onto our snow. Because we still want to show that the snow is white, but there's going to be a reflection from the sky. I'm getting mostly water on my brush and a tiny bit of paint. You're going to pick one side of your trees to kind of be a little bit more in shadow and do the same thing on all 3 trees. Then I'm using the colors that I have in the sky and painting just the tiniest bit of color onto my snow.